Joint Task Force Alpha took 4 major enforcement actions. Right here in Tampa, we unsealed the indictment charging 12 defendants operating a massive, right here in Tampa, a massive illegal smuggling ring. The defendants engaged in a conspiracy to bring illegal aliens from Cuba to the U.S. for profit. They coached their clients, including children, who came to airports alone, came to our country alone, were put on planes for connecting flights, lied to Border Patrol agents due to coaching and law enforcement. They used Zelle to transfer over $7 million over the course of this scheme, and I believe had profits, cash, of over $18 million. And in 2023, according to CBP, parts of Vermont and New York started seeing unprecedented traffic from illegal aliens. My first day as Attorney General under President Trump's leadership, we announced that the Department of Justice would pursue the total elimination of cartels and transnational criminal organizations. Thanks to President Trump, many of these groups, many of these gangs are now classified as foreign terrorist organizations because they pose an extreme threat to not only our country, but to our world. They traffic drugs, weapons, and people. Every American community destroyed drives up their profit margins. No longer. We are investigating and prosecuting their crimes more aggressively than ever, and Joint Task Force Alpha is the tip of the spear. We have been working on that with Secretary Kristi Noem, Homeland Security, and I cannot say enough good things about Secretary Noem. I was with her in Louisiana yesterday, and she is fighting to keep our country safe every single day. Just this week, Joint Task Force Alpha took 4 major enforcement actions. Right here in Tampa, we unsealed the indictment charging 12 defendants operating a massive, right here in Tampa, a massive illegal smuggling ring. The defendants engaged in a conspiracy to bring illegal aliens from Cuba to the U.S. for profit. They coached their clients, including children, who came to airports alone, came to our country alone, were put on planes for connecting flights, lied to Border Patrol agents due to coaching and law enforcement. They charged up to $40,000 per victim. They used Zelle to transfer over $7 million over the course of this scheme, and I believe had profits, cash, of over $18 million. And it's just not the southern border. In Vermont, and U.S. Attorney Drescher is here with us, we indicted Norma Lorenzo, a woman who allegedly worked with Canadian co-conspirators from Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, and El Salvador. Children were transferred to private residences, other airports, and in 2023, according to CBP, parts of Vermont and New York started seeing unprecedented traffic from illegal aliens. Law enforcement officers operating in these areas encountered aliens from 97 different countries, including China, Pakistan, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, North Korea, and Yemen. In the Southern District this week of Texas, and Nick Ganji's here, we secured the extradition of 3 men from Guatemala who have been charged in connection with a mass casualty alien smuggling event. This tragic event occurred in 2021 in Chiapas, Mexico. A semi-truck containing at least 160 illegal aliens crashed, resulting in the deaths of more than 50 people. The cost of human smuggling is huge. So many families are dying, so many people are dying. These smugglers used a variety of vehicles, including microbuses, tractor trailers, and cattle trucks to smuggle multiple Guatemalan aliens, including many unaccompanied minors, into this country. In the Western District of Texas, where Justin Simmons is our U.S. Attorney, we just this week charged 4 defendants with their role in a deplorable scheme smuggling unaccompanied children into the United States from Mexico. These monsters behind the operation drugged unaccompanied children coming into our country, giving them THC so they would be asleep when passing through customs. One of the children was overdosed so badly that the child had to go to the hospital. Since President Trump took office, Joint Task Force Alpha has charged 56 defendants, including convicting a monster who attempted to bring in Indian nationals into our country in sub-zero weather through Canada in the middle of a blizzard. This was a family of 4. This family was eventually found dead in a blizzard with the father holding the 3-year-old little boy wrapped in a blanket with his glove covering his child's face, trying to save his life. In June, we arrested a Canadian-American citizen in New York for charging $1,000 for every illegal alien he smuggled over the St. Lawrence River into our country. One of the boats capsized, killing a family, including 2 children under the age of 3. A few weeks ago, we convicted a coyote in Texas. A coyote, of course, is someone who transports illegal aliens across state lines for money. In Texas, we charged him for charging $30,000 for every 10 illegal aliens that he could get get to the Rio Grande. He got an additional $30,000 for every 10 illegal aliens that made it across the Rio Grande alive. That is why we are now expanding Joint Task Force Alpha. It has 5 steps. We will now cover, the task force will now cover our northern border in Canada, of course, and all of our maritime borders. Our incredible partner again at DHS, Kristi Noem, and I are expanding this to include our DEA, ATF, and FBI agents to this task force to give us even more manpower. We will receive more resources to prosecute these cases, and key figures in cartel, human trafficking, and transnational criminals. We will strengthen our collaboration with foreign law enforcement throughout this world to protect not only their citizens but ours, and return these criminals to American soil for prosecution. Under President Trump, we have coordinated more closely with our U.S. attorneys' offices to protect unaccompanied children being smuggled into our country from exploitation. One of the task force's greatest accomplishments has been demonstrating how dangerous human smuggling and trafficking are for those being transported. For those who are considering paying to be smuggled into the U.S., it is not safe for you or for your families. These coyotes are coordinating with terrorist organizations, collecting money from them to bring families and unaccompanied children into our country. These operations are getting people killed. Let me be clear, if you smuggle human beings, you will be found, you will be prosecuted, and you will be brought to justice. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what our borders are, the limit of where our country ends and another begins, but it does not limit our law enforcement capabilities to bring you to the United States and prosecute you and lock you up for as long as we can. These transnational criminal organizations, since we have secured completely our southern border, are finding various ways to come into our country. And as our U.S. Attorney in Vermont knows, the northern border, it always has been, but it's gotten much worse. Much more prevalent because it's a multi-billion-dollar business, the smuggling of drugs, guns, and humans. And so they're not going to quit once we secured our southern border. But yes, we're stopping them at our northern border, and that's why we're also increasing Joint Task Force Alpha to include our maritime ports as well. Can I start in on that first? Because I know you're a Tampa reporter, and that's why I think it was so important to have it here, because people are expecting this in Texas and big cities, and Tampa is a big city, but it is everywhere. It touches, I think, every city in our country. And traveling around this country, it's everywhere. It's everywhere you go, because our borders were wide open, and guns, drugs, gangs were coming in, terrorist organizations, into every city in our country. We arrested very recently, 20 minutes outside of our nation's capital, one of the top MS-13 members in the entire country. One of them was arrested also in Portland, Oregon. So it's very organized. They are spread throughout this country. And these were not coordinated arrests or extraditions. These are 4 that all happened in a week. And because the majority involved unaccompanied children in human smuggling, we wanted to highlight those and why we're expanding our task force. It's shocking being in the state of Florida, being a state prosecutor, but now on a national level and an international level, seeing the amount of human smuggling that goes on in child exploitation and the amount of drugs that freely flowed into our country for 4 years has truly been horrific, and we are doing everything in our power to stop it. And we're also meeting with our partners around the world to work hand in hand with them as well. So just since January 20th, we have charged, in Tampa, you're specifically Tampa, but Joint Task Force Alpha has charged 55 defendants just recently. Since January, 55 have been charged. And these are all, from all over the country. Major cases. The children, they're either being trafficked. We've seen multiple cases of children being trafficked who have come across our borders, come into our country, and they're being put on planes by themselves. When I was at the border in September, I went to the border in September in Yuma, Arizona, and they had a term, and it was called a recycled child. And these Border Patrol agents were seeing a little boy coming across our border multiple times. They saw him coming in as part of a family unit, which is often how they use children to get horrible criminals into our country, posing as a family unit. But these kids are coming from all over the place, and we don't know, many of them, where their parents were. That's why we're struggling to find that out, to prosecute all of them. But it was a recycled child, and these very vigilant Border Patrol agents recognized a little boy coming across. This was last September. And they couldn't figure out how he was going back and forth so easily. Well, our borders were wide open. And if you dropped your IDs, I saw IDs that were just piled up from every country you can imagine. If you dropped your passport, if you dropped your ID, they had a military member from China, dropped his ID. You could walk right into this country and say you were from anywhere you wanted to. And that's what we have stopped, and that's what we're going to prosecute. So they're using these children, many of them, to exploit them to help other gangs, cartels throughout this country. Some of these cases, when we're arresting these cartel members, they have children with them who are not related to them in their homes.